So as an election day, I'm reminded in 1953, some 61 years ago, the city was incorporated on March 31st. And it wasn't even close. It was 885 votes in favor, 461 votes against. And the city of Bellevue was officially incorporated. And we know we have a lot of work ahead of us, and I'm grateful for the work the council does, along with the staff, in moving this city forward. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and introduce our program. We're going to hear from both Mayor Claudia Balducci and Deputy Mayor Kevin Wallace in a State of the City type of presentation. They have a couple things in common. They both hold law degrees. They're parents. They're deeply involved in transportation issues, bordering on hobby status, I know. They believe heavily in efficiency in government. They're great problem solvers, regional thinkers, and they both have an intense love for the city of Bellevue. So please join me in a warm welcome for Mayor Claudia Balducci.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Patrick, and thank you all for inviting us here today to talk to you about one of my favorite topics, the city of Bellevue. So we're going to do a bit of a tag team here this morning, and I hope that's not too distracting. First, we're going to cover a bit of the past. I'm going to set the stage and review some of our recent accomplishments, things that we think position us well to seize the opportunity in front of us. Then Kevin's going to come up and take over the mic and share our current state and some projections of growth and things that are coming at us in the near future. And then we will both together talk to you about the council's goals and our strategic targets that we've adopted this year for the next 2 to 3 years. It's kind of a work plan that we're working on. And then we'll conclude from there. So if that sounds good, we'll just dive right in. And so whenever we talk to government leaders from other parts of the country, as we did again recently during our city manager search, we're reminded that Bellevue is a unique place, and with a tremendous economy, schools, and quality of life. We definitely owe our current enviable position to the leadership this community has enjoyed over the now over 60 years since incorporation. In that time, Bellevue's really been characterized by these tremendous spurts of change and growth. They tend to come all at once when they do. So we've had annexations that really changed the city's footprint, development cycles like we saw in the 2000s that changed the city's skyline, major demographic shifts that change who we are and how we contribute to the community, and changes in vision and leadership. And I think we're seeing some of these things right now. We certainly have a change in leadership. Kevin and I are both new in our roles, but we also have a new city manager, as been mentioned, Mr. Brad Miyake, and I'd just like to say a few words because we're delighted that Brad is staying on with us in this role. He was selected among an outstanding candidate pool in a nationwide search and had really almost universal acclaim from everybody we heard from, including many of you in this room. So we're absolutely delighted that we have Brad. We're also going to have a new police chief soon. In the last 2 years, we have a new superintendent of our schools, Dr. Timothy Mills, who's bringing a new vision to how our partnerships might work together with the school district. We have a new Bellevue College president, David Rule. We have incoming president and CEO at Overlake Hospital, Mike Marsh, and just a number of other prominent leaders in major institutions. So we feel like we're at this moment, and all signs point to us entering a time of positive growth and change as we come out of the recession, and we have these new people in place. It's a great opportunity for us to be positioned and embrace that opportunity. At the city, I want to say we're united by a common vision. You know, at community events, and I was at a recent one, it's a notable event where the question comes up when we're talking about a project in Bellevue, how can you possibly succeed at this visionary project when you have a council that's so divided? And the answer was fantastic. It wasn't my answer, it was somebody else who said, by a 7-0 vote. And that's exactly right. The vision we're creating, like the successful conclusion of our 11-month city manager search, like so many of the things we've adopted lately, are all unanimous, and we are united to move forward with a vision for the city. So we're excited to share some of our thoughts for you today and some of the things we're going to be doing. But before we dive into what lies ahead, I'm going to review a few items of things that we have, accomplishments that helped us to position us to do those things that are coming. So next we've got, last fall we unveiled MyBuildingPermit.com. This is the only multi-jurisdictional permitting portal of its kind in the nation. In response to customer requests, the 14 eCityGov Alliance jurisdictions that share this web portal have taken development permitting to a new level. customers can submit their permits for nearly every kind of application online at the convenience of their own desktop. And this is for 14 different jurisdictions all over the region. It's truly a transformational project. We're really proud of it, and we hope that it is working very well for our customers. In public safety, of course, public safety is the number one interest of our constituents every year when we ask them. It's the number one interest, I think, of all of you in the Downtown Association and our growing downtown neighborhood. And we are proud to have a very safe city, which is directly related to the dedication of excellence that our men and women in the police and fire departments show each day. Both police and fire were reaccredited last year by national organizations, and that's a very big deal. Accreditation requires a great deal of rigor. Going through the process makes our department become more outcome-based, makes them focus on having state-of-the-art policies, equipment, training, and it's not an easy process, but we invest in it because it helps to keep us at the top of our game and provide the best services to the city. So we're really proud to have achieved both of those reaccreditations in the last year. So, of course, construction is always visible when it happens in buildings. The cranes go up. We're all very excited. But what you may not have seen, unless you've gotten around, is that we have a tremendous boom in parks construction going on right now. At the Bellevue Botanical Garden, our home of the Holidays Garden Delights, one of the big attractions in the city, one of our most popular destinations, expansion is occurring to accommodate growth in attendance and training and classes there. So we're looking forward to the new visitor center, expanded parking lots, and enhanced education programs and facilities. So this is going to be reopening in June. We hope you'll all be there. It's really exciting. If you drive by, you can see it coming up out of the ground, almost done. The Bellevue Youth Theater is constructing an entirely new facility in Crossroads, and that's going on in the park area right next to the Crossroads Community Center. This is going to be an innovative building nestled into the hillside, just up from the center and the skateboard bowl. And it's going to be the home of our new Bellevue Youth Theater, where, as a testament probably to the remarkable powers of persuasion of our director, James McLean, you might see a council member performing as a cat or playing the mayor of Munchkinland or something else. I don't think the deputy mayor has performed yet, and I invite him to do so.
Mayor of Munchkinland wasn't available.
Hidden Valley Park is another area where we're now moving forward to build a new gymnasium in the Hidden Valley Park. It's a perfect example of the kind of partnerships that we engage in. It's going to save the city a lot of money. It's going to build a tremendous new basketball courts and improved amenities for the residents and visitors there, which our Parks Department has found is really needed and demanded. Construction there began just a few months ago. We expect it to be completed by the end of this year. So there's a tremendous parks flowering happening here this year in 2014. And it is true, yes, I wouldn't call it a hobby. I'd call it more of an addiction, something a little more harmful than a hobby. But we are heavily engaged in transportation discussion at all times. But it's not all about, the heavy, big rocks lifting. Some of this stuff is small ball. And SCATS is something that we do that is one of the most cost-effective things you can do for transportation. This is, the acronym may not mean much to you. It's a little unfortunate, actually. But you've noticed it if you've ever driven through a flashing yellow light that says you can choose to make a turn when you feel like it's safe to do so, as opposed to forcing you to wait for the green arrow. These are intelligent transportation systems that we've installed all over the city. Bellevue's at the forefront of installing this technology to improve traffic management. It really moves cars better, and it costs far less than building roads or doing anything else that we usually do to improve mobility. At some of the intersections, we've seen improvements of 15 to 20%. And by the way, we've gotten tremendous feedback on those yellow arrows. People really, really like being given a choice, so lesson learned. We also worked with the city of Redmond to sync up our systems, because when people are driving along, they probably don't know or care when they're in Redmond or Bellevue. They just want to keep moving, and so we've synced up the system so that they work better. And this is, again, a great example of something that we can do that doesn't cost a lot but has really, really noticeable benefits. In transportation, we also have Eastlink. And the 2013 was a big year for Eastlink. You all will have heard about Eastlink, I'm sure, the light rail system that's coming. We adopted land use code and approved the alignment through the city in 2013. Not an insignificant milestone for us. It was a very well-considered decision, and now we are ready and poised to move into construction by 2015. We were able to do that and couldn't have done that without ongoing involvement from you all in the BDA. So I just want to take a moment to thank you for following us in that process and making sure that we got there and got it done. And then there's a number of capital projects going on. I won't list them all, and Kevin will touch on some of the main ones that are coming ahead. But I did want to point out two major significant projects that were either started or completed in 2013. Westlake Sammamish Parkway. This has been a multi-decade vision to improve and upgrade Westlake Sammamish Parkway. It's really needed it. In October 2013, we finally completed the first phase of improvements, and that was a major accomplishment. It enhances pedestrian, bicyclist, and traffic safety and provides a multi-use trail along the corridor. We have several more phases to go, but the fact that we got one done means that it's a real project now, and we're going to move forward and get the rest done. Northeast 4th Street and 120th Avenue, some of you may have seen this. If you drive down Auto Row and look up, you can see the construction starting there. Another major project for the city of Bellevue. We're investing in improved mobility, moving people out of downtown and out and through the new emerging Bell Red Corridor development. So I think that's all for transportation. I can't believe that's all for transportation. Surely I have 10 or 15 more minutes on transportation, but moving on. So Bellevue likes to embrace technology. We've tried to find ways to improve our customer service, improve our permitting. We have the whole eCity Gov Alliance, and one of the things we've done now is adopt this MyBellevue portal app. It's a mobile app, sorry, not a portal app. It was just launched. It makes it possible for you to enter service requests and access city news and jobs and social media all by your smartphone, and we really hope you'll check that out. I guess I have to say full disclosure because Microsoft is here. It's not yet available on Windows phones, but it will be really soon. Really, really soon. I promise. Yeah. A recent event that, of course, we've all been following is the terrible tragedy that's happening up in Snohomish County at the Oso landslide. Bellevue has been a regional cooperating partner providing mutual aid at this event, and we've sent personnel to help with search and rescue, planning and logistics, and communications. We're really proud of the work that our folks are doing to support our neighbors to the north. Lieutenant Rich Burke from Bellevue Fire actually has become one of the faces and voices of this disaster, and you've probably seen him on TV speaking on the news. You know, it's been an impressive operation. It's been a really life-changing experience for the people who have done it, and we are definitely learning from their experience so that we here are more prepared in the event of a major disaster for our community, but it's also just the right thing to do to be a good partner, and we're very proud of our police and fire for helping in that really sad situation. So that's a little bit of the background. These are just selected accomplishments. Of course, we're very busy doing things every day, but we believe these help us to be prepared to make the next great leap forward. And now I'm going to ask Kevin to come up, and he's going to share a little bit of our current situation and how we're building on past successes to prepare for the future. So, Deputy Mayor Kevin Wallace.
Thanks. So all these great efforts have been bearing themselves out well with the surveys that we take every year. Every year, the city has a research team do some analysis on what are our constituents saying about their experience with the city, and the ratings have been continuing to grow, and they're very high. 95% of the people that are surveyed say that they believe the overall quality of life in Bellevue greatly exceeds their expectations. 85% say they're getting their money's worth for their tax dollar, and there's a number of really other interesting and very off-the-chart survey results that we have from the survey. So we take that to mean we're doing something right and that people are proud of their city, which is important. One of the things I'm very proud of is the fact that how we reacted to the recession. Coming out of 2009 and 2008, the city really dealt with some very difficult financial situations, and we changed the way we did budgeting by going to outcome-based budgeting, where we agreed on 7 priorities amongst the council, and we allotted the available revenues we had to fund those outcomes, and we prioritized projects into those outcomes until we ran out of money, and then we stopped. And as a result, we were able to come through and balance the budget and keep our tax rates at the same rate they've been since 2008. And that's enabled us to continue to maintain our very strong AAA rating from S&P and Moody's. What that leads to is the ability to borrow money at very low interest rates for very long terms. And so last year, we were able to refinance a lot of our debt and borrow some new resources to fund the transportation projects that we've been talking about at 2.7% interest for 20 years, which, as the real estate guys in the room know, is very low interest rate and puts us in a great position financially going forward to be able to continue to improve our infrastructure. So talking a little bit about where are things now on the development cycle, we are getting back to a point with a development boom similar to the one we had in the last decade. Right now, we're sort of at the beginning of it with the apartment construction happening. There's 1,100 units that are underway in downtown Bellevue. And then we've got a great collection of hotel, retail, and office that are also in the offing. These are some of the projects that are under construction right now. You see the SRM project down in Bellevue with apartments on top and retail on the bottom. John Sue's Soma Towers Phase 1, which is on 106th, and the new Marriott Hotel near City Hall, which will be a really great addition to the hotel assets that we have in downtown. Also have some very incredible new projects that are underway. The scale of these projects, this is the Bellevue Square and Lincoln Square project, which is $1 billion project by itself. Spring District, I believe at its full capacity, is approaching that scale as well. And then the SRO Rockefeller project down where the Barnes & Noble bookstore is right now is certainly in the high 9-figure scale. So these are projects unlike anything we've seen in downtown Bellevue, and they're all right there about ready to deliver. So overall, we're looking at a planned and ready to go 3.5 million square feet of office space in downtown Bellevue. Most of it is still looking for a tenant, but I think with the rents continue to rise and the vacancy rates continuing to fall, it's likely that one of these guys will pull the trigger and go spec development, and we'll start to see construction cranes for office buildings by the end of this year or next year. Also wanted to mention that's the private sector development. The public sector development that really bears note is our $1.5 billion construction budget for light rail in Bellevue city limits. This will have great economic benefits for our city, and in large part due to the fact that we fought so hard to get the light rail out of the right-of-way. And because Sound Transit came up with the tunnel mining technique that allows them to take the spoils out the tunnel portal instead of digging down through the surface streets, we can get through this project without major construction impacts. It's not going to be paying less, but it certainly won't be the economic issue that it might have been had we had at-grade light rail lines. And so this, I'm looking to see to this as a great economic benefit as we move forward with the construction of it and bring all those construction jobs into downtown Bellevue over the next 8 years. We're looking right now as we're coming out the other side economically. As you can see from this graph, Bellevue has, its unemployment rate has been tracking lower than Seattle, the region, and the nation the whole way through the recession. But we've gone now from an unemployment rate of 8% in 2009 to 4% as of the end of 2013. And so things are continuing to grow. As the next slide shows, we're continuing to see great growth in both population and jobs. This is showing a stack of both on top of each other. Kind of interesting to see how the little one on the top, the downtown population, continues to expand. But Bellevue benefits greatly in its economic engine because we have more, we have more jobs than we have people that live here. And that includes the kids. So we have so many people that are coming in from other cities, working here, generating tax revenue, and then going home and using their parks. And it's a great, that was a joke. Thank you. Somebody got it. It really is though a great benefit to the Seattle and our economic engine, our ability to be competitive with our tax rates. And then the last two slides on this will show is the sales tax revenues are coming up to back at peak levels, but now with a better foundation. It's not just construction-related sales tax that's causing that boom. And the same thing is true for B&O tax. So we're really digging out and poised to grow as this economy continues to recover. Last thing I wanted to talk about before we kind of head into the future is the demographics changes that have been happening in Bellevue over the last couple of decades. And this has really become a great benefit for the economy in downtown Bellevue because our cosmopolitan nature feels welcoming to people that are coming here to work from all over the world, and to businesses that hire people from all around the world find it easy to attract employees to our city. So this is something that the council pays a close attention to as we look out to the next 20 years and look at where's Bellevue going to be in 2035. And so that is what we spent a fair amount of time this year looking at. Go ahead, Emily. Is where are we going to be 20 years from now? And what is our plan and how are we going to get there? And so our discussion is focused on 7 areas, and I will handle a couple of them, and then the mayor will come back and handle the last 5. Economic development, transportation, built and natural environment, placemaking, regional leadership, human services, and high-performing government. So on the economic development side of things, we've for many years been felt the need to build and create a strategy that says, what are our great assets we have as an economy in Bellevue, and how do we harness those and leverage them to grow even further? So we've got a great technology sector, we've got a great financial sector, services sector in downtown Bellevue, and how do we harness that and take that to the next level? And so we're working on a plan that should be ready in the next couple months that can be used as a tool for us to set priorities, as a tool for our regional partners to understand what Bellevue's all about, and a tool for the businesses that are here and are looking to come here to understand more about the things that we are doing in Bellevue to try to help businesses succeed in Bellevue. On transportation, the mayor spent a lot of time talking about this, so I'll go a little more quickly than I was going to, but the Bellevue's transportation is truly multimodal. We have to have all the elements of transportation in order to continue to grow. Our core responsibility is roads, because that's, we Metro and Sound Transit do transit, and the DOT does highways. Bellevue does roads. And so the mayor talked about the things we have done in starting to implement this plan for continuing to create congestion relieving arterial roads out through from downtown and out through the Bell Red corridor that will enable the growth in the future. So we've started these road projects out. They're all great 5-lane arterials with all the bells and whistles, and it should provide a good relief valve from downtown that allows that us to continue to grow. On transit, we continue to need transit, both from our friends at King County and also the Sound Transit buses, but the light rail thing has been the one that's drawn most of our time and effort at the city, and I think we've come a long way. I think the alignment's in really good shape. I think we're down to 3 things: mitigation, money, and maintenance, which would be the maintenance facility, and we need to continue to keep all of those things and get those right. But I'm really happy with where we are and the efforts that have come to get us to this point in the process with light rail. And then the last thing I want to talk about is the highway system, which is the most urgent and important need that we have, because 405 is coming. Its construction funding comes to an end next year. The work is done from 6th Street North as in 2015. There is no funding through the legislature to fund 6th Street South, which is the most cost-benefit project, the highest cost-benefit project the DOT has on its books. The economic importance of expanding 405 from 6th Street South to Tukwila cannot be understated. It is essential, and we've been working very hard to get that through in Olympia for many years, and it continues to fail. 520 is the same issue. When 520 is finished in 2016, 2 years from now, it will tie a new bridge with 3 lanes heading westbound into an old bridge with 2 lanes heading westbound. It will simply move the congestion point that we had on the east high-rise over to after the Montlake exit, and the cherry on top of that cake is that the transit lane will have to cut over from the center lane to the right. We are 3 years behind on getting this transportation package passed. It's essential that we all work together heading into this next legislative session to get the legislature to pass the transportation package that is in the Senate right now and fund it so that we can get this work done and get our transportation congestion unclogged.
Just to add on to that, I want to say we have made quite a great deal of progress. There's an amazing coalition of people advocating in Olympia for a transportation package, and we've had some very strong, brave leadership from some of our elected officials, including Representative Habib, who's here today. I would be remiss if I didn't point that out. All right. Also on our list now, and this is the fun part. These are the to-do things. These are the things we are going to be working on and wanting to advance in order to get to the vision. I also have to say, as by way of my preface here, even though I'm 2 items into the bullet list, that this is really kind of hot off the presses. We're still working on these things now. We were working on them last night up until about 10:30 when I finally called the meeting because we had to get up early. And so we're putting together a work plan, but it's these things are going to come, and we're going to have a vision statement that actually helps to set the stage for why we picked these things. But we're just here this morning to tell you sort of some of the things we're working on. The Downtown Livability Initiative is the first thing under high quality built and natural environment. Because as you saw, we're poised for a tremendous new wave of growth in the downtown core. And we need to take a look at our codes, which haven't been updated in a very long time. To remain the symbolic heart of the region, as we are, of the East Side region, we really need to continue to attract cultural, entertainment, residential, and regional uses. And we envision this being by a variety of unique public spaces that are really welcoming to people, especially the growing downtown neighborhood that we have. I met the new Neighborhood Association president, if she would just wave her hand. Yeah, is it Heidi? Yeah, we have a new downtown neighborhood association, and they're having their first meeting later this week. So that's a fantastic development. We have a growing population down here that calls downtown home. So this project's been underway since last May. It's deep into the work of updating the land use code, and it's the first major code update, as I said, in a long time, 30 years. We're going to be looking at the heights in downtown. You're all familiar perhaps with the wedding cake configuration that we have. Does that still make sense today that it's done exactly that same way? Building forms, the amenity systems, what do we provide bonus points for? Maybe for open space and other things. Do those really work and get us what we want on the ground? We'll be looking at design guidelines for downtown development, how we integrate light rail into the downtown. So that's one of the major challenges of integrating light rail. And by the way, it's a tremendous opportunity, as the deputy mayor said. But we're also trying to thread a needle through one of the most heavily, densely developed parts of the region and put a new major infrastructure right through the middle of it. How will we do that? Open space and other issues. So the effort's overseen by a council-appointed community advisory committee. If you haven't been to their meetings and you're interested, they're open, and you're welcome to come. Public engagement has been a key part of this, and the BDA has been following along very closely indeed and providing input, and they'll continue to do so. We appreciate their input. We expect this to finish up this summer and have a recommendation to council, which then we have to put through the adoption process, so it's moving right along. I did mention the Downtown Residents Association, but one of the other things about placemaking, it's not just the places, it's the people, and how we serve the people and how the people provide input to make a place really come alive. As some of you remember, downtown in the early 90s, it was a tremendous place to be, but not out on the streets so much, pretty dead. The sidewalks rolled up after 8 o'clock, and it's completely different now. And that's in large part because of all the people who have come, who have brought their businesses and now who live downtown. We were really proud to support the launch of the Downtown Residents Association. We had a meeting with over 60 residents. BDA played an important role in that as well. They shared their priorities, and I will share them with you because you might want to take notes. The pedestrian safety and walkability, noise during evening hours, traffic infractions, and nighttime drag racing. I was surprised to hear that one myself. Apparently there's nighttime drag racing. And they're looking on the positive side for community building events downtown, which would be an amazing thing to do. So we expect many good things to come out of our downtown planning and out of our new Downtown Neighborhood Association, which will represent our newest and largest neighborhood in Bellevue. The next priority is, we call this Great Places You Want to Be, and it's stated simply because it's true. Bellevue is a place of great places, and we are in the business of developing new ones, and we're very excited with some of our new opportunities. You can see here the proposed Maidenbower Bay Beach Park. For decades, the city has envisioned a major waterfront public presence, and we've moved very gradually to get there. It's a dream shared by generations of council members. It was passed down to me by council members I met while I was running for office, and I just got that bug as well. For a city on 2 lakes, we really need a major waterfront presence for the people. But planning of the park began in earnest in early 2007. We adopted the plan in 2010, and the council's priorities are to challenge the city to construct phase 1, to plan and construct by 2018. So I checked with staff this morning. They had already heard that deadline before I announced it, but now it's real. Now you have to deliver. And so that park is a major priority, but it's just one piece of the puzzle in terms of placemaking. We've also talked about having a more visionary plan to connect all the dots along this thread that we have. So we've got the downtown, the Maidenbower Park, the waterfront. We want to connect that to Downtown Park, up the pedestrian corridor to the Civic Center with City Hall, Maidenbower, and the Transit Center. We want to do something really special with that Metro property that sits right there that's going to be adjacent to the new Transit Center, and we're having talks about that. We want to move across 405 to the Wilburton Special Opportunity District, which used to be code for an arena. but no longer. It's now just a special opportunity district, and what do we do with that? And all of this needs to tie together to make this one great place. So we've committed to work on that in the next 2 to 3 years. And then finally, of course, this group is probably keenly aware of the Bellevue Downtown Park and the planning to complete the circle of our beloved but Pac-Man-shaped downtown park. And so we've also challenged the city to come up with a plan to complete that circle by 2018. It's another deadline. Take it down. So, a vision that I know that we all here share is for the city of Bellevue to become a cultural mecca. So we know that there's great arts and cultural opportunities all over the region. Most of them seem to be in downtown Seattle. The East Side is ready to start drawing some of that energy here. We have a tremendous arts community. We had a meeting just earlier this week that was pulled together by Leadership East Side with support from the city. We had it at the Bellevue Brewery over in the Bell Red area. And we brought out musicians, artists, performers, dancers to talk about what an arts district in the Bell Red might look like. It was an amazing gathering. There are people here doing work that you wouldn't even be aware of. We have, legends of rock and roll. We have studios. We have ballet classes. And so how do we start to bring the arts alive here so that people want to come to Bellevue and stay in Bellevue to do their arts, to have their arts experiences? And a critical part of making that vision a reality, of course, is the plan for the Balducci Center, which is a 2,000-seat performing arts center plan for downtown. We can look back more than 30 years, again, at efforts by various groups to make this community dream come true. Today, with a site secured, design completed, and $63 million raised, we're the closest we've ever been to making this reality. Earlier this year, we passed a resolution that supports the Balducci Center and commits us to work with PACE to move this project forward, and we're now negotiating an MOU. We really expect to see a great crescendo and momentum on the Balducci Center this year in 2014. So regional collaboration, regional leadership and influence is a high priority of the city. It always is a high priority, but it's especially important to us now. We know that the challenges don't begin and end, and our solutions don't either at the borders of the city. We need to work with our partners in order to achieve our goals. We talked about transportation funding. We've talked about the arts and culture. None of this happens just because Bellevue says it happens. It needs to be a regional partnership. So we have, as a council, identified a strong need to work together to provide leadership, to organize with our East Side partners to be a force in the region, and also to work with the Seattle and other regional partners. So next, achieving human potential. This is a really broad category, and by the way, we're just going through a sampling of this list. We're going to ultimately publish the entire list. But the one thing I want to talk about under human potential, and I love the little guy with the cape, so when we all achieve our potential, we can be superheroes. So we're updating our diversity initiative. We've talked a lot about the changing face of Bellevue, and we do talk a lot about that generally. So it's been since 1993 since we've updated our diversity plan, and the city has changed tremendously in that time. In recent years, we've renewed our efforts to leverage our growing diversity and to think of it not just as needs and the human services requirements that come along with a changing population, but also the advantages. Diversity brings opportunity. It brings economic development, education, a focus on public safety, things that we can work together on to make the city a better, more rich place. And so we've been working on updating our diversity initiative. This effort is also well underway. We'll be hearing about it very soon at City Hall, and so will you. And then finally, high-performing government. This is an area that the city has prided itself on for a very long time. Our city has won awards and been recognized nationally for the level and quality of services that we provide to the people of Bellevue. We've won awards for our parks, for our financial management, for any number of things we've done, and we're very proud of this. I thought it would be fair to include at least one city manager priority. We've talked a lot about the council priorities, and this is it. If you can see the slide, it says one city goal, and one city is a cultural change effort within City Hall that began in 2007, and it's been really reaping benefits and will continue into the future. It's an employee-based plan where they guide their own work teams, but also with a high focus on results and efficiency and providing better value for the citizens of Bellevue. When we were recently presented with the mission and vision of One City, it was really impressive to hear the staff talk about this. We had staff come down who, and this as a manager, it's disturbing to me, but they have no supervisor. And they literally work together and guide themselves. And they said that their morale is very high, they're doing things the way they choose to do and the way they direct themselves to, but they're also achieving results. We're also seeing that they're doing better work, more effective, efficient work. So this is kind of an amazing internal effort that was brought to us by Brad. It was his initiative, and he's very passionate about it, and he's going to continue to move the staff forward to embrace this cultural change. Any of you who run a business probably know the hardest thing to do is to change the culture within the business, and this is really working. So that brings us to the end. And I just guess I'll just close by saying that the council is really focused on working towards these priorities and working towards our vision. We believe together that we have an extremely bright future, and we're well positioned to embrace that future. We're really excited. We hope that you can be excited too and work with us, and we rely on your partnership in order to make our future as bright as it can be. So thank you very much, and I'm going to invite Deputy Mayor back up in case there's questions, but thank you on behalf of us all. Step in. I think we talked about it. I mean, transportation really, there's a reason that we are all deeply engaged in transportation. It's because if you cannot keep the city moving, a lot of the things we talk about become less attractive, and the economy really suffers for that. So that's the thing, that's the reason so many of us work so hard on transportation. I think that's the number one item. I don't know if you have anything to add.
Yes, I agree.
You mentioned the MOU for performing arts and the amount of money that's been raised is still kind of short. Is there any public money for that too?
Yeah, so we have to talk into the microphone. It's not because I just want to shove him out of the way. The purpose of the MOU is to set the groundwork for a planning effort that we're going to do together. The planning effort will determine what kind of funding, and we're going to have a public outreach process before we decide that. Certainly the possibility of public funding is on the table, or else we wouldn't be doing this. And we are really committed to trying to do what we can to make this work. It's a big lift, but it's a vision and a dream of the city, and we have a part in trying to make it happen, and that's what we're trying to do. I hope that answers the question. The question is more to come. That's the short answer.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's something that we've been. So the question is, as the downtown continues to grow, what are our plans for providing public safety, in particular, the fire department's public safety for the downtown population? Is something that's been a big and important issue to us at the city for many years, and we've been looking at when and where we may have a need for a new facility in the downtown to help with that, whether it's fire service or paramedic service, to address the growing needs we have in downtown. We're we've been on a long-term plan to look at all of the fire stations across the city and plan out ahead so we don't get caught with a big lump sum capital cost at some point in the future. So we can plan over the long term to bit by bit continue to improve the already amazing level of service that we have from our accredited fire department.
As we grow, especially vertically in downtown Bellevue.
I think that is the question. That is a question that we have to answer through. You're referring to the Downtown Livability Initiative, where there's been discussion about raising of the heights in certain parts of town. If there's additional development capacity that comes along with that, we're going to have to look at traffic and the transportation plan. I'm not sure that there's going to be a lot of additional development capacity. There can be heights, of course, right, without additional units. And so we're going to have to look and see what that looks like and then analyze the traffic impacts. And I'm seeing the transportation director nodding vigorously, so I feel I am on pretty solid ground there. Thanks.
So, can I just quickly add to that? I think it's more the square footage of the buildings and the heights of the buildings that's the concern. And we are working very hard on the transportation studies and in combination with the livability study to make sure that we get this right. And remember that Bellevue is already a bustling economy and is surrounded by single-family neighborhoods. And so I think from our standpoint, we're doing everything we can to make sure we're making a science-based decision about this. But the one thing it all depends on, again, is getting 405 unclogged, because what we're doing for transportation and addressing the growth in downtown just creates a bigger parking lot queue if 405 continues in the shape that it's in.
Join me again in thanking our guests.